So that was, I like that point about, yeah, it's no longer removed, like primary school style writing, it's up front, it's happening now. Here's another example, you know, as I peered out into the crumbling mess, you know, and to go on about some sort of war zone, and you know, you just come out of a bombed shelter and whatever. Interesting. Let's try this now. So these are the two powerful things. I really like these, ing and ed. The ing really is a verb. It's called it's a participial phrase. But let's just call it the ing for me, the ing words. Here's what I mean. You've got your subject, okay? You want to, and you've got some sort of action, or let's just put V for verb, okay? Now you want to add more verbs. You want to add more verbs. Well, you can just have one as your main verb, and the rest of them use ing with a comma somewhere there. And you can easily add more things like something about being like Lawrence rushed out of the home to catch the bus, comma, knowing that he was going to be late for school, and once again get a detention. So you've got the ing form. I'll give you an example. Now, you can add more verbs, but this ed form, if you add ed words with the comma, now I'll explain, it's not as simple as every ed word. I'll explain how it works so you know exactly what's going on. This helps describe, like an adjective, it helps describe more about the subject. So less about the action, more about the subject themselves. Okay? Annoyed with my friend who constantly stole my pencils and rubbers, I whacked him over. You know, this actually happened in high school. I flipped him over my shoulder onto the floor. So I'll say that one more time. Annoyed. Let's do two. Annoyed and frustrated. Can you see the E word coming up? Let me give you an example. Let's write it up. Annoyed. Okay? Instead of saying, I was so frustrated with him and I got really annoyed and that made me flip him over my shoulder to get me into trouble, you just use the ED form. Does this make sense? Let's frustrated. Shouldn't probably reveal too much about my naughty past video, but that's okay. We all do this when we're, you know, especially those really calm, patient people who've had enough after 2 years of a friend just stealing your rubber. You kind of flip sometimes. Well, it was all good. He learned his lesson. Annoyed and frustrated at my inability to write a fluent sentence. I asked my teacher for some extra time to talk about fluent writing. Can you see what I did there? I used the ED form again, and it's describing me. It's describing me, so please use that a lot. Let's actually get into some examples now. Okay? Bit of a mess, but let's clear it up. We've kind of already covered ing, but we'll do it one more time. Okay? Thinking, that's the verb, think. Guess what? I'm putting the secondary clause later. The main clause comes, first. The main clause comes later. So here it is. Thinking I was late for, well, that still works. I've actually got a subject here. That'll work. Thinking I was late for school, I decided, this is my main sentence, I decided to skip breakfast okay, I'm going to put an and here. You can sometimes use those structures, the simple ones, and rushed to catch the bus. But because thinking, you can think about other things, that's why it's got the I. So you're thinking about something, and what you're thinking about here is the fact that I was late. Okay? How fluent is that? I decided to skip breakfast and rush to catch the bus, comma, thinking I was late. Or we could do this. This is your main sentence. I decided to skip breakfast and rush to catch the bus. Okay, again, a knowing one, and you can add knowing Freddie would once again get angry. Whatever you want to put after that. Now, let's just flip this around a little bit. What about when you're actually, this is not for so much for narratives, but for essays, where you're arguing something like these different points, and then at the end of the argument you say, well, that's why I think we should do this. Here's a really good way to use the ing form in that case. Are we ready? Okay. And when you are writing essays to convince someone, you should include them in sometimes with inclusive language, meaning use words like we. You know, we need to do something about climate change, or we need to make sure the neighbours do not terrorise, that random strangers playing Pokemon do not, terrorise our neighbourhoods. Have you heard those stories about people just hanging out in front of apartments and houses, congregating there and making the neighbours mad because, anyway, it's a funny story. Let's do it. So, you're arguing for a point, and eventually you get to the point where you want to bring it all together, and you say this. ing form. Considering the above facts, this is a simple way of doing it. Considering the above facts, it is clear that steps must be taken. ... I really should get you to do an example. So we've got laptops open. Type up the practice as well while we're doing this, or write some of these ones down. Considering the facts, it is clear that steps must be taken to. If you want to make it a little bit more complicated, considering the fact that most people want to protect their privacy at home, comma, it is important that we ... Okay. Does everyone understand the ing form now? And for your narrative, it's really, really powerful. Has anyone got me to think of a bit of an example? Wanting to tell my mum I loved her, and I'm going to use two ing words here, but knowing that she wouldn't be able to hear me, I decided to leave my flowers. Maybe she's dead at the grave, or maybe she's in hospital, by her bedside, because she's sort of got cancer or something. Or you might do another example of a bit more adventurous. So seeing the cars roll up the hill, I decided to hide behind the broken down house until I knew who it was. You see, I'm using ing form there. It's a little bit more active. It's a bit more up there in front. Okay, any questions? That's it.